Okay, so you shared this Stefan Pinkwart piece, Trump, the iPhone Killer, and wow, I gotta say, it really grabs you from the first line with its, well, it's quite a style.
It's certainly distinctive.
Distinctive, yeah. So basically, it's all about this idea Trump floated, hitting smartphones from China with a, what was it, a 60% tariff?
Yeah, pretty hefty tariff.
And Pinkwart's like instantly all about the personal impact. Awesome, I thought to myself while staring at my brand new iPhone. You can just feel the dread, right?
Oh, yeah, totally. He takes something as, like, big and complicated as trade policy and just brings it right down to earth. Your phone, your wallet.
Exactly. For anyone who's not a, trade expert, a tariff is basically like a tax on stuff coming in from another country.
No.
So this 60% on Chinese phones means importers pay way more, and guess who ends up footing the bill?
Us, the consumers.
Right. The idea is to make imported goods more expensive so people buy, I guess, American-made stuff. But smartphones, it's not like they're churning those out in, Kansas or something.
Yeah, the supply chains are incredibly complex. It's not a simple equation.
Then comes the real Pinkwartism, right? He goes, soon my phone will cost more than my mother on the black market, and both get used about equally often. Okay, that's dark. But is that effective, using such an extreme analogy right off the bat?
Well, it definitely gets your attention. He's not messing around with, like, nuanced economic analysis here. He wants you to feel something, like, whoa, this is absurd.
And he goes right for the stock market next. Panicked, hysterical, catastrophic, those are his words, talking about what happens to Apple and Tesla shares. Is it really that doom and gloom, though? I mean, wouldn't a tariff announcement cause some, ripples, but...
It's interesting he jumps right to that conclusion. Big companies, sure, they might see some short-term volatility. But long-term, there's so many other factors at play. It's not a straight line from tariff to, financial meltdown.
Okay, then he gets to China's comeback. They're talking tariffs on, get this, Viagra, soy, and aviation. And his take is, great America can't get it up anymore, eats itself fat, and stays grounded.
I mean, you got to admire the
Well,
imagery.
It's definitely crude, but it gets the point across, right? He's using these, I guess you could say, stereotypes to really poke fun at the whole thing, make it seem ridiculous.
And then, bam, back to your wallet.
Yeah.
He warns, soon your monthly phone payments will be higher than the rent in New York. Another one of those, is it a hyperbole? Maybe. Yeah. But it hits close to home.
Oh, yeah. New York rent. That's basically code for unaffordable for most people. So he's like connecting this phone thing to something everyone's stressed about already.
And the phone itself, right?
Yeah.
He turns it into this shiny status symbol, something you'd like wear on a gold chain with "I'm rich, bitch" engraved on it. He's relentless.
I think he's playing with the idea that smartphones, they're aspirational, right? But what if tariffs made them only for like the super rich? The image is funny, but also makes you think, wait, do I take this for granted? Then comes the twist. He starts giving communication advice. This is where it gets wild. He says, don't write a text, drop a goddamn atomic bomb, do the Trump.
Okay, obviously not literal, but what's he getting at here?
He's using Trump, or at least Trump's style, as an example. That shock value, that I don't care what anyone thinks attitude. In a world where everyone's yelling, how do you stand out?
He says it flat out. No one remembers if you had a solid intro or a polished punchline, but everyone remembers if you mess with their psyche like a creepy uncle at the family BBQ. That's vivid.
It is. He's saying, forget being polite, forget being perfectly structured. You want to be memorable. Make them feel something, even if it's a little uncomfortable.
Go harder, darker, meaner. Make them feel how stupid this situation actually is.
Is he, like, advocating for just being brutal all the time? Isn't there a risk in that?
There's definitely a risk of turning people off, right?
Right.
But I think he's aiming this at a specific kind of audience.
Yeah.
People who appreciate, that dark humor, that no BS kind of approach.
Then he gives examples. An iPhone costing more than a hip replacement. And then he's talking about surgical implants, so the vibration mode could be fun when taking the stairs. Okay.
It's meant to be funny, but also like, wait a minute. He's exaggerating, but it makes you think about how much we value these phones. What if they were literally part of us?
And the carrier pigeons with Trump's haircut? Where does he even come up with this stuff?
I think he's playing with the idea that tariffs would take us backwards technologically. Like we'd be sending messages on birds instead of smartphones. The Trump hair just adds that extra layer of like, this is ridiculous.
The Viagra jab is pretty rough, too. Well, guess you're about to find out how hard politics really is. That's pretty low.
It is. But he's using that humor to talk about the consequences of political decisions. Things don't always go as planned, and sometimes it backfires in, unexpected ways.
His big advice, Don't make your performance a text, make it an experience. So not just the words, but the whole package.
Exactly. Think about like a great speaker or performer. They use their voice, their body language. They create a connection with the audience. That's what he's talking about.
He gets super specific too, like, how do you hold your phone? He imagines trembling fingers from the stress of the high prices. And then there's this line about phone funding on the red light mile.
Those details, even though they're exaggerated, they make it feel real. You can almost see it happening. That's what makes it stick with you.
And the quick comparisons, battery life, like Trump on a treadmill, screen shattering, like campaign promises, those are pretty loaded, aren't they?
Oh, yeah. He's definitely injecting his own opinions there. But those images, they're instantly recognizable, right?
Yeah.
You get what he's saying, even if you don't agree.
And life without a phone. More meaningless than sweatpants at Fashion Week.
It makes it seem like we're totally dependent on these things.
It's a commentary on how central smartphones are to our lives. What if they suddenly became way too expensive? He's using humor, but there's a serious point underneath. His whole philosophy. Make them laugh, but make sure that laugh gets stuck in their throats. So not just a ha-ha funny, but more like a nervous laughter.
Yeah, like a, oh, that's funny, but also kind of disturbing kind of laugh. It makes you think.
And then he brings up his book, Poetry Master. He's not messing around with the description either. Not a friendly advice column, but a ruthless coach who turns you into a stage beast.
The language matches his whole approach, right?
Embarrassed.
Bold, in your face. He wants you to be that person who commands attention when they speak.
He even compares it to, of all things, Trump. Says it'll make you own the crowd like Trump hides his tax returns. That's a unique endorsement.
It is. But he's acknowledging that however you feel about Trump, the guy knows how to work a crowd. The book is about that, learning how to connect with people, even manipulate them through your words.
He says you'll learn to juggle words until your audience is drooling at your feet, make them follow you like influencers chasing the next dumb trend. It's pretty strong stuff.
Definitely. But it goes back to that whole make an impact thing. Forget subtlety, grab their attention, make them want what you're selling, whether it's an idea or a product.
And the call to action, grab it or die on stage like Trump's campaign manager. Talk about pressure.
It's dramatic, right? But it's memorable. It makes you want to at least check out the book, see what this whole Poetry Master thing is about.
And he gives links for both the German and English version, so he's reaching out to, a wider audience. So what have we learned from this pink quart roller coaster ride?
On one level, it's a critique of tariffs and how they could affect us all, but it's also a lesson in communication. Be bold, be memorable, even if it means being a little controversial.
That leads to our question for you, the listener. Kinkwart says, don't write a text, drop a goddamn atomic bomb. Where do you draw the line between being impactful and just pushing people away, especially with important topics? Something to think about. And if you're curious about his unique communication style, check out Poetry Master.
It might give you some insights into how to stand out in a noisy world.
Until our next deep dive, remember, be creative.